Rams.
Out there, let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Hang on, okay.
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the October 15th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word. KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And a new friend of the show that we'll be working with in the next few weeks and few months, hopefully it gets bigger and bigger, is Sports Ball Games, which we will be talking about at the mid-show break. I'll do a breakdown real quick there, tell you what Sports Ball Games is all about. If you want to check them out, I have included their link in the description and detail section of this broadcast. It goes to Join Sports Ball Games. You can check it out there, but do it after the show, or at least after you've left a like, or at least after you've subscribed to RamView. All right, so looking at the Rams, it's going into week 7, and as I've shared with you, I'm not really happy with the Rams, and here's the part that makes it even worse. Name a team out there that if they're playing their best and the Rams are playing their best or what they're capable of, who's going to dominate the Rams? The Rams showed what they can do in Philly, and we know Philly's got all kinds of problems. I think Tampa Bay is really good. We said they were going to be good during the summer, but if the Rams are doing what they should be doing, yeah, they're not going to get blown out by Tampa. They're not going to get blown out by Kansas City. They're not going to get blown out by anybody. And that's the frustrating part, right? That's the frustrating part when you look at where this Ram team is. And as good as they are, they can go to the Super Bowl, but they've beaten nobody convincingly, right? And that's the part where it gets really upsetting, right? It's a pain in the neck. And so we're going to start today's show with the top 5 stressors for Ram fans and what we're all seeing. ESG, thank you so much. That number, let's see, ESG is writing the 2026 number 1 draft pick is not looking so hot right now. Arch Manning is nowhere near NFL ready, and the Falcons look like they're going to be competitive. And you know what? You're right. That was a horrible performance by the Bills, by the way, on Monday. It's like, here, Josh Allen, save us, right? We've seen that show before. But, you know, as I was watching that game, and then, yeah, you're thinking about how, man, you know, Drew Aller. Did Drew Aller get hurt? I think Drew Aller's done. I don't know if Mendoza or Dante Moore are guys that are coming out in a year. Cade Klubnik, who's the guy I liked going into this season at Clemson. I don't know if there is a guy. You know who looks good? Carson Beck looked pretty good, right? But he's got a lot of talent around him in Miami. So my thought was, and especially with looking at Atlanta, they're not going to do us a favor and go 7-9, 6-11, 4-13 or something. They're going to be a pain in the neck, and they're probably going to win about 8, 9, 10 games, maybe make a playoff appearance. But the one thing it does is, I think, not that the Rams would bow to it a little bit, their ESG, but I think what it does is that the Rams have 2 number 1 picks now. And if Stafford is at the level he's playing at right now, right? If Stafford is, and of course it's up to him and it's up to his wife if he comes back for another year, but I think he wants a shot at another ring. This is the ring I won in the San Luis Obispo Fantasy League. The Southerner came in there, won, and then they changed the rules this year. Anyway, but everyone wants a ring. And so he might stick around for that next year. He's got 1 more year on the contract. There won't be any debate about his contract this offseason. Then if you're not going to draft a quarterback and there is no clear-cut guy to draft anymore, then you kind of have some freedom with those 2 draft picks. You can package them together and move up for something special. You can do what the Rams do, is trade back and collect more draft picks. I'm not so caught up with number 1 picks unless they're inside the top 5 as I am with accumulating picks in the first 100 of the draft. And I think you guys know this. We've talked about it. So in one sense, the pressure comes off is that we don't have to find a way to get Arch Manning, right? We don't have to find a way to get Drew Aller. We don't have to find a way to get any of these guys, Nussmeier or anybody. It's like, you know what? Who's there? We're just gonna do what we need to do. And so there's some freedom in that, especially if Stafford stays healthy. We know if he's healthy, we know what level he's playing at. Only an age thing would be a factor for trading him, but just pound for pound, forget about age. I don't think I'd trade him for another quarterback, except maybe Josh Allen, but that also has age, has something to do with that. But as far as the guy lining up behind center, he's right there, or if not, right equal to, doesn't have to take a back seat to Patrick Mahomes, right? And I'm tired of hearing about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow never plays. Matthew Stafford's just one of the top, most elite quarterbacks you could ever get. And if he's healthy, then we got those 2 draft picks that, this was something I gave credit to Colin Cowherd way back in the spring, is that why make the move for a big quarterback if Stafford is healthy? Why not just add more pieces around him? It'd be kind of nice to add a couple other offensive linemen, right? It'd be kind of nice to draft a center and a tackle. Whoa, that would be pretty good. And maybe a corner in the top 100. So there's just a lot of stuff to look at there. So yeah, I didn't mean to go that route, but ESG, you brought it up and it was on my heart and mind to talk about that. All right, guys, let's keep rolling here. Drop in your questions, your notes as they roll in. I know people usually join us a little bit later. So my top 5 stressors as a Ram fan. Top 5 stressors. These are the things that keep me up at night because I know this team is capable of beating Kansas City in Kansas City. It's capable of winning in Buffalo. It's capable of killing the Steelers. It's capable of going up to Lumen Field and beating the Seahawks. Who's the other hot commodity? They're able to go to Detroit. They'll win. They can win in Detroit. They could win in Tampa. But we know that this is not who the Rams are, right? This is not who the Rams are. It's almost like they play dead for a while to let the gamblers run up bets in Vegas and then come back and steal a win. I don't know. It's brutal. So top 5 stressors for a Ram fan for me, cornerbacks and the scheme. Yeah, I was happy with the cornerback room. I'm still not completely out on it, but I think Darius Williams is playing the last games of his NFL career, or at least in horns. We know that for sure. So I'm a little bit concerned about the cornerback room, a little bit about the depth now. We're going to see Ahkello Witherspoon come back. His legs will be fresh. It was his collarbone. So that's a good sign. I'm not out on Emmanuel Forbes. It's good enough. It'd be nice if you got something better, all right? But here's the other aspect of it, and this happened against the 49ers. It gave me Raheem Morris flashbacks back in 2022. It was that passive giving up all the short stuff because you were afraid of them going over the top. Now, if Devonta Smith is on the field, then I'm afraid of them going over the top. If Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill is on the field, I'm afraid of them going over the top. Justin Jefferson, I'm afraid of them going over the top. Kendrick Bourne, I'm not afraid of them going over the top. And yet Shula's scheme in that 49er game was to give up all that easy chunks over and over and over again. And so this concerns me. Is this going to be a pattern? Is this something they're going to break away from? You got to remember, if a team's going to throw deep on the Rams, they're going to need that other half second, right? And I don't know if every offensive line can give another half second or full second to their quarterback for their guy to get deep. So come up and press a little bit. Come up and shorten the field a little bit. Trust your pass rush and stop giving away things. I'd be a lot more forgiving if we're beat over the top once in a game than constantly carved up repeatedly by efficient backup quarterbacks. This is why Jacoby Brissett scares me more than Kyler Murray when the Rams have to face him. This is why Mac Jones, who at his best is uber efficient, in fact, he's more efficient, I think, in some ways than Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy will take some gambles. He'll take some chances. Jordan Love will take some chances, but a guy like Jacoby Brissett, we've seen with Mac Jones, these guys will just carve you up and take what you give them. It's the old Colt McCoy game, and that's what makes me nervous. That's my fifth one right there. My fourth biggest stressor is special teams. Now, you'd think I'd have them number one, but it's not. I don't know what the problem is with special teams completely, because it's more than just the foot of Joshua Carty. He did miss that one. And McVay came out and said, you got to make that. But excuse me, right? Excuse me. This guy's had 4 kicks blocked this season already because up front, the scheme for protection sucks. So what are we doing here in terms of saying it's all on Carty? I'm not saying Carty is completely absolved from responsibility, but let's look at the scheme and whatever Chase Blackburn is not doing up front, because every possession where they're in field goal range, you're sick to your stomach because you don't want to see it, because you don't know where it's going to happen. And I got to believe, I've never been a kicker, but I got to believe for a kicker, it starts to get into your head. You probably accelerate your motion. You probably do something different because you know you got to get that thing off your foot before the line and protection breaks down. So that's a big one, but it's only number 4. It's only number 4 because you really don't get to the field goal aspect and the point after aspect until you get into the red zone and until you score touchdowns. And to score touchdowns, you got to have everything working. And so my third biggest stressor that I am not over, and I was hot on it back in the spring, what I am not over is I am not over Coleman Shelton. I'm just not. I just don't think he's enough at center. He's not enough at center. And this is why I was pushing for Bo Limmer. And Bo Limmer is not figuring in the Rams' plans the way it seems right now. Bo Limmer, I think, is stronger. Bo Limmer is younger. Bo Limmer has an upside that we don't know about. We know exactly what Coleman Shelton is. And when you need that half yard to get that half inch, is Coleman Shelton really the guy you want Stafford or anyone else running behind when everyone's piled up? No. That affects you in the red zone. That really does affect you in the red zone. So I'm not sold on Coleman Shelton at all. And then number 2 is red zone efficiency. There is something, right, where the Rams go brain dead inside the 20, right? We've seen McVay run the ball the length of the field, pound, and pound again. And then he gets first and goal at the 9, and then he throws 3 straight passes. Yeah, I mean, help me, right? Help me. There's something there that I don't know if the guy outsmarts himself. I don't know what it is. I think some of it is a Coleman Shelton thing. That's my belief. One of our loyal listeners, Willie Bowen, always says, get a fullback. Get a fullback if you have to. But get this red zone stuff cleaned up, because I think teams kind of figure out a lot of times the Rams won't run the ball. I think Baltimore, when Kyron Williams went in untouched on that touchdown run, I think Baltimore was expecting the Rams to pass because that's all they do down there. And I think there is some doubt that McVay has about his interior line down there. And so the red zone efficiency is going to kill the Rams in the end. It's going to be the thing that we've noticed the last few years. It is going to be the thing that we have not been able to figure out. And then finally, this one's going to be my biggest stressor right now is McVay himself. And now this isn't Jeff Fisher. I know I'm not supposed to name him. Jeff Fisher, 7-9 ball shoy and all that kind of stuff. But this guy's been to 2 Super Bowls, 6 playoff appearances in 8 years. The Rams just don't go to the playoffs and lose. They go to the playoffs. They advance. So there's a lot to – of course we love Sean McVay. This is the golden era, right? But for as good of a coach as he is, how prepared he is, how prepared he does so many things, when was the last time the Rams had a laugher when they should have had a laugher, right? Remember, this is the team that lost to the Jets in 2020. They lost at home to a winless Jet team, right? what is that all about, right? This goes back for quite a few years now. It's like they always find a way, right? They find a way to keep teams in games. And if you know you're a longtime Ram fan, I can go through a whole list of games where it's like, how did you lose this game? How did you lose this game? We've seen it over and over again, even in those years just prior and leading up to the Super Bowl win, where I think it was 3 straight years. The 49ers swept the Rams, 2019, 2020, 2021. They swept all the regular season games. And sometimes the Rams are playing against inferior 49er teams. They're playing against backup quarterbacks, teams they should have smoked, and they didn't. And so if there's something that we could see, there's a chip missing somewhere in the whole McVay scheme is I refuse to believe he's not prepared, but there's something here. It's that, well, why aren't you kicking these teams' butt, right? Okay, we'll give them a pass on Houston. First game of the year. Okay, we got the win. That Colt game, they're lucky to win that game. They were, right? They died in the second half against Philly. They died in the first half against Tennessee. Why can't this team put together and play to its level of talent? They just don't seem to do it. And who do you put that on? At some point, there is something missing here. I don't know if it's such a cool, great environment. If that's the reason, because everyone loves it. Everyone loves McVay. Everyone loves the team. Very, very cool. But I think some of you guys touched on it earlier this week is there a bad dude in the house that everyone's afraid of, right? I mean, Rams just get rid of anybody that's a problem. And I understand why they do. You don't want to upset the clubhouse. And there is sustained success. But why is everything a high wire act, right? I guarantee you, Snead and McVay, I guarantee you their home is filled with antacids somewhere. If we have them as Ram fans, they definitely have antacids tucked away everywhere. McVay's probably got them in his locker, in his desk. He's probably got it tucked away in coats that he has to wear, little bottle-size Melantas or something, because they can't figure this out. And this is the part that has me concerned, right? It has me concerned going forward is that I think what we're seeing in McVay's game, there is this hole where can you say I didn't get the team prepared? How are you not ready to come out and face the 49ers? How do you come out sleepwalking against the 49ers? How do you dally around against a team without Lamar Jackson and Cooper Rush, and you're tied in the first half, and you needed an exceptional defensive stand and some brain-dead play calling by Todd Monken to get this thing together? Don't understand it. I do not understand it, and I think that's the hole that's in McVay's game. All right. Manny Correa is in the house. I'm doing good. Thank you so much. So true. I think you agree with me. All right. Paul M. Kupp has been looking good in Seattle. I wish the Rams had kept him. I think he's okay. I think he's going to have a good year. I think this year is going to be really good, but I think it's his last hurrah. I had no problem with the Rams moving on from him. Manny, thank you, Paul. Manny Correa. Sean is 3-11 against Mike. Help me with that one real quick. I'm brain freezing there, Manny. Michael Negretti. Hola, Pastor Joe. Don't you think the Rams should have left to London right after the Ravens game? Didn't they stay on the East Coast? I'm pretty sure they stayed on the East Coast. I don't know when they're going over there. And so again, it's hard. It's hard because the Rams do win, but man, they win with white knuckles. Bill, the reason why we can't blow teams out is because we always have slow starts. They always give up points before halftime. But why is that? Why can't they come out and play football, right? Why can't they come out knocking heads? Just come out and knock heads. They always come out to that. Michael Negretti, McVay is a stupid genius. He's soft and doesn't know how to call a game. That's why they don't blow people out. You really think he is a genius, you're saying? He's a stupid – so he's a Caltech genius, right? He's a guy that doesn't know how to find his way to his car. Hey, I am not here to slam McVay, looking to replace. I don't want McVay replaced at all. But I'm just trying to figure out why when we play the Jets, if we were to play the Jets in 2 weeks, why would that game be a 19-13 Ram victory? Oh, why? Why would it be that way? But yet, I don't think I got any deniers out there in terms of that. That's very well what it could be. Okay, so those are my top 5 stressors. For number 5, cornerbacks and scheme. 4, special teams. I know people thought that would be higher. 3, Coleman Shelton. 2, red zone efficiency. And number 1, just trying to figure out this hole in McVay's game. Looking at the Jaguars real quick. We're not doing all of our predictions. We'll do Steelers Bengals when the show winds down, but we're not doing our predictions till Friday. I'll say this though. I do like winning better than losing. And if the Rams scored a 17 victory over Jacksonville this week, I'd feel a lot better than they scored a 17-3 victory the way they scored it last week, because I think Jacksonville's a solid team. I don't think they're there yet, but they've got a pass rush, right? And I know people are getting really excited that, oh, yeah, the offensive line's coming together. They like McClendon. No, there's guys that could go get it in Jacksonville. Frisco doesn't have a go-get-it guy. Baltimore doesn't have a go-get-it guy. And yet, when you combine the scores of those games, you know, the Rams lost to Frisco by 3 and only beat Ravens by 14. And this is with an upright Matthew Stafford. Anyway, the Jaguars are good. If they're there yet, I don't think they are, but they are capable of beating the Rams. Absolutely. I don't think there's going to be any game this season until I see a stretch of 5 or 6 games. I don't think there's a game this season where the Rams, you can say, oh, they're going to win this in a blowout, right? Oh, Rams easy, right? Never. No, this is a Ram team that got humiliated by the Dolphins last year at home, but yet beat Buffalo at home, right? It doesn't make sense. And again, get them playing to the level of their competition. So are the Jaguars capable of beating the Rams? Absolutely. Should the Rams win? Absolutely. Will it be ugly? I can almost guarantee you it'll be ugly at some point. Jacksonville is kind of like Rams alumni. Austin Trammell, Hunter Long, Cody Schrader, Johnny Munt are in uniform for the Jags. Liam Cohen's a former McVay assistant as the head coach. And James Gladstone, a Snead protege, he is their GM. All right. I think we're good. Think we got it in there. All right. Hey, let's talk a little sports ball games. All right. Sports ball games, the new friend of the show. I dropped their link right there in the detail section. And, if you're looking for a way to bring your crew together on game day without the gambling stress or fantasy overload, if you just want to talk neck, right, talk trash, try sports ball games. Free pick'em and squares, live leaderboards, and bragging rights built in. One click and you're in, no fees, no spreadsheets, no headaches, just sports fun for your whole group can enjoy. Whether you're cheering from the break room or the backyard, sports ball games makes every game day a team event. Play for fun, brag for real. Love that line. Play for fun, brag for real. We've been looking for some time here on the show here to add people who are into the football and into the sports, but not necessarily getting so caught up in the stress of what it takes to lay down money or the whole fantasy overload. And Sports Ball Games is that. Please check out their link, joinsportsballgames.com. Joinsportsball.com. Check it out. Have some fun. And maybe we can incorporate some of that here going forward. I hope that works for you. I'd love for you guys to check it out. Go to your computer. joinsportsball.com. It's in the link. It's right there. I'll even drop it in here for you guys to check out. All right, let's see here. Boom, 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 boom. And away we go. And as guys know, I'm Joe Chirosian, a sports writer for 21 years. And now I do RamView, thanks to these sponsors and these friends of the show, like Kistler Law. Their link is also in the detail thing. I realized that was an omission that I needed to take care of. But be sure, if you have an auto question, from an injury or an accident, check out KisslerLawFirm.com. They support me in my day job. My day job is I pastor a small church called Burbank Faith Nazarene. And you can find us right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, BurbankFaithVirtual.com, and Burbank Faith Virtual all across social media. We do have iHeart and Spotify accounts, but right now they're on hiatus just because we're not making any traction there. And I'm trying to figure out best way to use resources, and time right now for me is a resource, and we got to make it work. Also, I write books. And that's another reason about time being a resource. Between doing this show and writing books, that keeps me employed in my day job. My books are on Amazon. Type in Joe Torosian, Torosian. I've got 9 books out there. 3 of them are football books, 2 high school football novels, Tangent Dreams and Temple City and the Company of the Ages. And last year I put out Game Day in the RamCave. It's a fiction work of a NFC championship game between the Packers and the Rams. Please check it out. Got some good reviews. And every time you buy one of those things, it really supports us. We do not have a paywall. We do not have a Patreon account. So we appreciate all your support and the support you've given us these last few years. All right. Let's see here. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see. I'm sorry. I got lost there, guys. Bill, Rams are practicing at Baltimore baseball field all week. Oh, are they in Camden Yards? Cool. I didn't know that. Okay. Manny Correa, 3-11 against the 49ers. Yes. Not too swift there, Chief. And how many of those games should they have won, right? Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, I don't want McVay to be replaced. I want to change his ways. Let someone else call the offense. The team reflects the coaching and his ways. That's a question, I guess. It's just hard for these Uber guys like, Andy Reid. This was the deal. Did Kevin O'Connell ever call plays for the Rams, or did they just window dress it and say he did, and it was really Sean McVay? Did Eric Bieniemy ever really call plays for the Chiefs because it's Andy Reid, and did they just window dress and say he did? Now, there's always that stuff. There's always that stuff going on. Willie Bowen is in the house. Michael Negretti, Mariners 2, Blue Jays nothing. I'm rooting for the Mariners in that series because I think they have the best chance of knocking out the Dodgers. Because, my bitterness as a Met fan knows no bounds. Willie Bowen, LA Rams have a Lombardi trophy. Yeah, and that's something they don't have. There's the hole or the chink in Kyle Shanahan's armor, right? Fourth quarter, right? This guy blew 2 Super Bowls in the fourth quarter, and 3 if you count his years as an OC there in Atlanta. There's something about him that just folds like a cheap coat in the fourth quarter. And they also lost that game to the Rams in the NFC Championship game in the fourth quarter. All right, around the NFL and other places, coaches on the hot seat from top to bottom. Dolphins Mike McDaniel. To me, it feels like it should be any day. I got to believe he's going to Cleveland with a lousy offensive line facing a pretty solid defense in Cleveland. Does McDaniel get the Lane Kiffin treatment? Is he out on the bus or on the plane on the way home? I think it could come anytime. Jets Aaron Glenn is getting a lot of heat. I think people who don't like Dan Campbell are trying to get Aaron Glenn's scalp. Dan Campbell was what? 3-13-1 his first year. And Aaron Glenn has less to work with. So now I know the ownership in New York is kind of crazy and the environment's a little more crazy than Detroit, but I think Aaron Glenn gets until next year, unless there's a player mutiny somewhere. But I know people are calling for him. A guy that I really think could be in trouble is Zach Taylor in Cincy. But remember how long Marvin Lewis was head coach there in Cincy, right? Good, bad. Cincy doesn't like to make any changes. It's expensive to make changes. And so that's why Zach Taylor still has a job. If it happens, it'll happen during the off season. Giants, Brian Daboll. Right now it's all sunshine and roses, but if the laughter turns to sorrow, he'll be gone. I think right now, as long as they're exciting, they're going to be okay because they got a heck of a defense right now. And then the Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon, which I never would have thought was an issue. They lost that game in Indy, and of course the whole incident with the player on the sideline. If he could recapture the locker room and keep going forward, I think he'll be okay. But they're 2-4 right now in Arizona, and this is one of the teams that I thought would be ready to compete or be really competitive this year. But they get the Packers this week, and then they're on bye, and then it's 4 division games. That's the Rams twice, 49ers again, and Seattle again, and that's in Seattle. And then they got to play the Jags. They got to play the Bucks, and a dangerous Cowboys team, and a team that you can't overlook in the Falcons. And so that would be 3 years, and I think they could end up with a record worse than their record last year, and that would be a step back. And I think that could cost him his job. I honestly think having Jacoby Brissett leading this team might be a safer bet than Kyler Murray, but you didn't hear it from me, but you did. And then finally, another coach that should be on the hot seat, Rams special teams coach Chase Blackburn. And I think all the Rams fans said amen to that one, right? Amen to that one. All right, let's keep moving along here. Let's see. ESG, the Seattle Mariners are the only team left that's never made a World Series. So, yeah, let's root for them, right? Go Seattle. Steve Ramirez, why would you want McVay not to call plays? He's a top play caller. I think, Steve, where they're coming from is just what's happening, the bog down in the red zone. I mean, there's no denying there is a bog down in the red zone, and there's something that's just not working in the red zone. And I think that's where the frustration stems from. Tim Burns, what's up, Mr. Burns? Hope you are doing well. I'll talk to you later, Mr. Burns. I got a question I wanted to ask you. All right, another NFL doubleheader on Monday night. Ridiculous. But at least they're staggered this time. The first game starts at 4 p.m., 2 p.m., the second kickoff is at 7 p.m., so at least it's tolerable. Brain dead move doing 2 games on Monday night. Absolutely ridiculous. Number 3, let's see. I'm happy to admit misses by me this year, not only the Rams on the cornerback issue and a couple others, but I was completely wrong on Dallas and Carolina. Maybe not completely wrong. Carolina's competing and playing hard. And Dallas is competing and playing hard. And I thought Dallas would be a team that you could smoke and overlook. And I think addition by subtraction. I think moving Micah out, losing that distraction, and they're doing all right. They're competitive when they shouldn't have been competitive, right? George Pickens wants that second contract. Going back to baseball, like I said, the Mets collapse has prevented me from enjoying any baseball this postseason. To me, it's all about the Brewers, Blue Jays, and Mariners. Can somebody tag Seattle as a team of destiny, and I'll get right behind them. And then finally, Tua came out on Sunday and said, hey, man, we're not getting to meetings. We're late for meetings. Everything's going on. And everyone gave him heat. And I backed up Tua there because they're paying him $50 million, not only to throw passes, but to be the leader in the locker room. If their coach is not, especially if their coach, who's definitely not an alpha, I mean, can you imagine who's a bigger personality, Dan Campbell or Mike McDaniel, right? And that's Pee Wee Herman standing in a room, with The Rock, right? It's ridiculous, right? And so Tua, as the quarterback, should call it out, right? He should call it out. He's being paid over 50 rocks a year to be the leader of this team. So he sends it. He doesn't really mention names, but he comes out and says, hey, we're late. We're not doing the things that are right. These are wrong things. These are things they should be called out on. They should be humiliated about. They should be embarrassed about. And I saw David Carr. I saw other people say, oh, he shouldn't do that. He shouldn't do that. Heck yeah, he should do that. That's what he's being paid for. And then Tua apologizes. Big mistake. Now, you guys are going to think, Pastor Joe. You're going to think, oh, Joe, you run a church. Oh, Joe, he does. Can I just tell you culturally, the biggest mistake you could ever make in the 21st century culture is to apologize. Because it's like jumping in the water and cutting open your leg or your arm and letting blood flow from you, right? Because they're just going to come and eat you alive. No one's going to take your apology and go, okay, it's cool. No, they're going to come and chew and want more. And you know what? If Tua's teammates didn't like what he was saying, and if the Dolphin organization didn't like what he was saying, then you know what? Cut him loose, trade him, get rid of him. I'm sure Tua would be appreciative. I'm sure Tua, if he found his way to Frisco, I'm sure if Tua found his way to LA, I'm sure if Tua found his way to one of these other places, Denver maybe, I'm sure people would look at him and go, dang, Tua's pretty good, right? I'm not a huge Tua fan as a quarterback. As a person, he's great. But, man, I hate it when people apologize, when they make truthful statements, when they make correct statements, as they know them, that are happening with that team, because their coach, I'm tired. You just watch that guy. That guy is not a leader. That guy doesn't run his sideline. And I know Steve does too. I know what a sideline looks like when a coach doesn't run his sideline. Homeboy does not run his sideline. And so Tua should do it. But, man, to apologize for it, that's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Michael Negretti. Willie, I agree with you on the Rams having Lombardi, but if something doesn't change with McVay's ways, the Rams won't win another trophy. There are too many mistakes and not enough results, I'm assuming. Again, I don't have a problem with McVay, but there is something going on in the red zone that I just don't like. Let's see. ESG, Locked On Rams crew said Rams should target Jeffrey Simmons, the DT from the Titans, even considering trading the number 1 to the Falcons. Yeah, if you can lock him up, he's really good. He's really good. I think I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. I think it's harder offensively to add somebody to the offensive line once the season has started. Once you've gone through August, just to add somebody to the offensive line, it's really a hard thing to do. So I think the line that we have is the line we're dancing with. And I'll throw this in real quick. Do you remember in August what the 2 biggest issues with the Rams were? Does anyone remember? Matthew Stafford and Alaric Jackson. Have you noticed we haven't worried about Alaric Jackson or Matthew Stafford at all through the first 6 weeks? Knock on Formica, right? We haven't worried about them at all. And so that's harder. So if you have to go down and get a defensive guy, and again, your front 7 will make your secondary look better. Your front 7 will make your secondary look better as long as the scheme isn't, hey, we'll give up all the under 10-yard completions they want, right? Right? As long as you say, I don't care if it's Justin Jefferson or Kendrick Bourne, I'm still going to come up and make you go by me, right? Because that front 7, you add a Simmons to that's man, yeah, I would. Is there a quarterback we want right now? There's not a quarterback out there that's going to replace Stafford at this point. Nah, hey, credit to them. There's sometimes I hear things on their show that we talked about here like 3 months ago, but that's okay. I'll agree with that totally, making that move. I have no problem with that. ESG. Oh, there you go, ESG. I didn't see you wrote that, man. Good pass rush can cover up lack of cornerback play. We're thinking alike, man. All right. Tim Burns, looks like Steeler fan Rob can buy Rodgers jersey. They are the AFC's number 2. Okay, I fully agree. And I know Steeler fan Rob's going to have a heart attack right now. I'm taking the Steelers tomorrow with the Bengals, of course. But do you really see the Steelers winning a playoff game? Really? I don't. And we're not even halfway through the season yet. So I am happy for them, right? Steeler fan Rob likes to hassle us about the Rams, and I'll take every insult because the Rams have earned every insult to this point. But I'm not a firm believer in Pittsburgh going beyond the first round of the playoffs. Just not. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, what's up with the Falcons when they play on prime time? The Falcons, man. I don't know if I was mad at the Falcons or I was mad at the Bills. I was really mad at the Bills yesterday. Bill, would the Rams consider Avila back to center better than Shelton at center? They got off that Avila at center thing really fast in the summer of 2024, right? Remember that looked like it was the plan when they brought in Jonah Jackson. Remember that? Because you had Kevin Dotson, Jonah Jackson, and the plan was going to be Avila. And I remember my exact shows. I said, wow, with the contracts the Rams have signed, the rookie deal that Avila's on, this guarantees this is the Rams window, 24, 25, and 26. And then everything went sideways with Jackson's scapula and all that kind of stuff. And and Avila was moved out real quick. And remember, Limmer was brought in. And again, am I just wrong on this? Doesn't it seem like Limmer is just kind of on the outs right now? That physically he probably has the tools, but mentally maybe there's a reason he did drop to the 6th round. Trying to figure that out, because I have no faith in Shelton at center. None. Does he know this position? Yes. But there's only so much he can do. Spirit is willing. Flesh is so weak. All right, let's keep rocking here. Tomorrow night's game, we've got Steelers at Bengals. Pittsburgh should rock the Bengals. I think they just lost their tight end. Was it Gesicki? Or did I blow that? I think they just lost Gesicki. I think Joe Flacco is a good move for them. We don't have to look at Jake Browning's girlfriend anymore, so she's probably really upset with him. But Pittsburgh should hammer them. It is in Cincy. It is a division game. You can't take anything for granted. But I would view it as a Steeler fan. Ugly win, whatever win. A win is a win. Good for you. But emotionally, wouldn't a loss to the Bengals in the state that the Bengals are in right now, wouldn't that be devastating? Like, honestly, the loss to Frisco was devastating. Not season-ending, but devastating. I'm going to put that out to Steeler fan Rob. Would a loss to the Bengals, I know it's not going to end your season, but would it be devastating at this point? Like, God, what are we doing, right? What are we doing? All right, Sunday, October 11th, Rams at Jaguars. Rams should win, for what it's worth. Saints at Bears. We're going to go with the Bears. Bears are 3-2. They got a break from the Taxkins on Monday night. Saints at Dolphins at Browns. I'm going to go with the Browns. I have no faith in the Dolphins right now. Raiders at Chiefs. Raiders will give them a little bit of a game, and then KC is going to mow them down. Eagles at Vikings. That one is interesting. Eagles are struggling right now, and I'm not a believer in the Vikings. I'm going to go with the world champs as of right now. I'm going to change this on Friday probably. Panthers at Jets. If Panthers beat the Jets like they should, no matter what, just a win, then good for the Panthers. Panthers can't lose this game, right? They can't lose this game, even if it's in New York. They can't. It's a bad loss. Patriots at Titans. I don't think I heard I think J-Mac talk about Titans getting the coach bump, the new coach bump. It's Mike McCoy. You see Mike McCoy as head coach of the Chargers. There's no bump coming, right? I'm going with Vrabel. I'm Vrabel and Drake May, man. That's going to be a dangerous combo going forward. Giants at Broncos. Broncos have been cruising for a bruising, but they're going to be at home, and they got a good defense. Giants have a good defense. I think it's a tight game, but I'm going to go Broncos right now. Colts at Chargers. I'm going Colts. Colts coming back to SoFi. Adonai Mitchell gets a second chance in the building where he coughed it up. And then Packers at Cardinals. Jacoby Brissett makes it interesting. Is Marvin Harrison all cleared? Was he in concussion protocol? But I'm going to go Packers in this one. And then Taxkins at Cowboys. I think it'll be a shootout. I think that'll be a fun game to watch, but I'm going to go Taxkins. Sunday night, Falcons at 49ers. Here's the dilemma. We want that Falcons pick to be great. We want it to be inside the top 10. But we also know the moment right now is what's most important. So we're rooting for the Falcons against the 49ers on Sunday night, and they need to, right? 49ers always find a way, but now they've lost Fred Warner. At some point, the spirit has to go, right? So go Falcons in that one. And then, of course, the ridiculous doubleheader. Buccaneers at the Lions. What a great game. That should be the Sunday night game. Buccaneers at Lions. Both teams are banged up, right? Both teams are banged up. Buccaneers are banged up at receiver. Lions are banged up in the secondary. I'm going to go with the Lions at home right now, but in a close one. And Texans at Seahawks. Go Texans, right? We're all about the Texans. Ravens and Bills are on bye this week. All right, let's see where we're at. Blue Jays tied it 2-2. All right. ESG, it's been such a weird NFL season. So far, I wouldn't be surprised the Bengals beat the Steelers. It wouldn't be a huge surprise. You're right. It's been weird. There's some games here. It's how do you call some of these games? Honestly, how do you really call Rams-Jaguars, right? How do you call Eagles-Vikings? You look at some of these games. How do you call Colts Chargers? Because I think everything in us wants to believe the bubble's going to burst for the Colts, right? There's games here that are just like, how do you pick this one? The 49ers, are they going to run out of gas? Are the Falcons going to be consistent? There's so many weird games here that you're totally right on that, ESG. Tim Burns, Cade McNown is still looking for his girlfriend. Oh, there you go. Cade McNown. Oh, the last glory days of the UCLA football program until you beat Penn State, right? Let's see here. Steve Ramirez, as long as Chase has a big game. Oh, he's your fantasy guy. I think I got him in one of my fantasy leagues too. ESG, I'd rather have the 49ers lose. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll take a 15th overall and a 32nd overall, right? 32nd being the Rams win the Super Bowl. But, I'd rather have the 49ers lose because, again, nothing's a guarantee for the Rams right now. And you still got to play Tampa Bay. You still got to play Detroit. Let's see. Tribe. Good to have you, Tribe. Fred Warner was the last straw. 7-10 at best for the 49ers. Yeah, it should be. Now, I'll give Shanahan credit, right? He picks up a dead dog and gets 10 more miles out of it. He's been doing that. He's just bad in the Super Bowl. But you'd think at this point, oh man. At this point, if you're the 49ers, I know it's hard to do it. It's hard to do it because you got a winning record. But if you were really being proactive right now, you'd start auctioning off Mac Jones because somebody might want Mac Jones right now, right? Before your offensive line gets him killed. Maybe you auction him off. Let's see. USA, expat. Good to have you, USA. Props to Dax for not wearing the armband. Oh, he didn't wear the armband. Interesting. Did not know that. Okay, cool. Steve Ramirez. The Meow Mix podcast is off the air because Panthers won. The casters don't want to break the streak. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. That reminds me of, does anyone, no one was there. Not all, you guys are across the country here. Does anyone remember the Lucky Butt for the Kings in hockey? And was it the guy, was he from, was it one of Mark and Brian producers or something? They'd rub his naked butt on the ice before a Kings game, and it was called the Lucky Butt. The casters won't till the end of the streak. I wonder how their what is it? Their sponsors feel about that. That's kind of interesting. All right, let's look at a couple things here real quick.
It was a stone group, my man.
Coming up to the 50-minute mark. I got off to my first 4 weeks, 12-4, 12-4, 10-6, 10-5-1. Week 5, I was 6-8. Last week, I was 9-6. Yeah, that's because the NFL has been really difficult this year. Not much to talk about today. Tomorrow, October 16th, 1990, Rams plays Fred Strickland on the IR with a fractured leg, kind of just coming into his own, kind of a bummer. I did not know this, but or remember this, but on October 16th, 2018, right in the middle of the whole, Zerline was still doing his thing for the Rams. The Rams released kicker Cairo Santos, who looks like he just lost his job in Chicago to Jake Moody, of all people. And then born on this day in tomorrow, John Wolford turns 30. And God bless John Wolford. He did get a win over the Cardinals in 2020. And then Steve Avila turns 26 tomorrow. He turns 26. So there you go. Let's see. I think that's about it. I think I got it. I think we got it all in. If you guys have some other questions, hey, be sure to check out Join Sports Ball. It's pretty cool. Like I said, I know the people there. I'm hoping for a long relationship with them. I'm hoping they do really well. They're great people. They help us with our Outsiders ministry, and so we're nothing but the best for them. And go Blue Jays! Blue Jays up 3-2. Oh, I've always been a Blue Jay fan. There you go. Let's see here. Tim Burns, Rams are winless in conference. San Francisco is 3-0. We have to win at SoFi. I didn't know that was the record. I should have known. If you look at it, yeah, it's what we are. But I am worried about if you don't win the division. I know this seems like really weird to say, but if you don't win the division, I don't want my fate left up to all these tiebreakers, right? These tiebreakers are going to be brutal, right? And so, yeah, good point there, Mr. Burns. Something for us all to keep an eye on. ESG, wait till Purdy throws his first interception in his first game back. The less interceptions Jones throws, the worse for Purdy. It's true. And I think we think of Purdy for his efficiency, and I think Purdy's a good quarterback. I think Purdy was good enough in that Super Bowl to win the game. He was let down by Shanahan and Steve Wilkes. He should already have one of these. Thank goodness he doesn't. But he is more of a gambler than a risk taker than Mac Jones. And so there is going to be that. But they're paying Purdy, what, 50 rocks now? So it's not a crazy in the whole scheme of things contract, but they are paying him. And so it's going to be, yeah. I'd love to see the Frisco go through that kind of pain. What do you think? Let's see. Willie Bowen, what's up, tribe? Tim Burns, dude. I'm letting you guys all talk to each other. The only one missing here is Paleo Time. Blue Jays up 5-2 on the Mariners. Okay. Yeah, I've always been a Blue Jay fan. All right. Junior Felix. That's so. Tim Burns, if it weren't good news, I would hate you, Negretti. That's funny. Okay. All right. Well, okay, we've hit the 50-minute mark. I'm going to let you guys go. We're going to be back on Friday, and we'll go from there. Guys, thank you so much. Check out our sponsors. Check out Kistler Law. Check out Joint Sports Ball. Buy my books. We want to improve the RamCave. God bless. Take care. We'll see you soon.